Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to Michael's Millennial Money. We are here after a couple weeks actually, since I'm working in the United States, working as a door-to-door salesman, so I don't even have a place where to record the video. But luckily I have a family where I'm staying with and I have actually recorded the video in their basement. Isn't that cool? So today I want to talk about the leverage, what is important behind the word of leverage. Leverage is actually very controversial. Last couple of years, at least that's what I noticed. People are saying you should use the leverage, people are saying you shouldn't use the leverage. So that's why I want to make a video, because I use leverage in everyday life. I am actually with the real estate, but there are some things where I'm not using actually leverage. Question is, does it make sense always to use the leverage with the real estate? So let's talk about it. Let's find the pluses and minuses. Of course, it's not financial advice. I'm just recording this video like in the basement, right? And I do have a couple like real estate projects and that's it. And I have some stocks, crypto, and I'm just the average normal younger guy. I'm just 24, but I want to share with you my thoughts as well, because I run into so many people, they see it differently, and of course there is some true on both sides. So let's talk about it. With that being said, you can support me with a like or subscribe button. I appreciate it, and I'm more than happy that I have a time to record some video. Even the conditions are not the super good, super decent, but actually I work quite a bit in 6 days. I work over 80 hours on Sunday. That's my day off. I go to church, I do my chores, and that next day there is work again and again and so on. So the leverage, actually how your return can be amplified with the leverage, you have to understand your losses can be amplified with the leverage, which means you just don't lose the money you put over there, but the money that are actually leveraged to, which is very important at first to understand. So let's talk why I don't use leverage in any other aspects in my life, just the real estate. Let's say a lot of people from my actually surroundings, they do this forex, they do trading and so on, where they put the $1,000, but they do trades in tens of $1,000s, right? So they use the leverage, which is very actually risky and tricky. All these people, what they think when they put $1,000 in, they play with the more $1,000, they can win way more. And of course there is some truth if you win, right? Now we are probably not even talking about investing, but it's already like gambling, right? You have to understand trading is very risky, very risky. Like I have a friend that is developing the algorithms behind trading machines and so on. And he said, Michael, I don't understand how these 16 or 18 years old guys on the Instagram are teaching other kids to do it, because they don't know it. They actually just are trying to sell you some course and so on, and which you are not gonna make money of it. If you are gonna make money maybe in one trade, you might be lucky, but this is like long-term business, right? You don't wanna make money one time, right? When you play with $1,000, it's not gonna change your life, right? So you have to be right number of time in a row, and that's the hardest thing about it. So that's why I don't use leverage in trading and so on. Actually, I don't even do trading. If you consider trading that you use a leverage, I never done it, and I don't want to do it just because I think it's very risky. Most of my friends lost so much money over there that it's even hard to earn it back. So I'm actually trying to avoid it. But now let's talk about the real estate leverage. Why do I use it and why you should or you shouldn't use it? Because there are different actually groups of the people and there are different circumstances. Of course, it depends. If you are living in the place where like interest rates are very high, like United States, right? Or you are in Europe, they are high, but actually they are way lower than in United States. So you have to kind of do your math behind it when it comes to real estate. So let me actually show you my point of view. So right now I do own 5 like real estate properties, which sooner or later I'm gonna be renting down all of them, right? Then there is a question. All of them are actually through the leverage, so through the mortgages, from 1% of interest up to 5.3, let's say, right? Which is, I guess, big gap, let's say, right? At first, there are some people saying you shouldn't buy anything with a mortgage, you should just buy it when you have money for it. So in this scenario, I would have maybe one apartment that is worth $200,000, right? Which will be paid in cash, or I can have a 5, which are worth like $600,000, $700,000, $800,000. I have a mortgage on them, and I'm planning to make money down the road once I would, let's say, once I would retire, I can sell them and I would have multiple properties and there's gonna be no debt since the tenant is paying for them. So that's different strategy at first. So I knew this is kind of better strategy, that I'm not gonna get the rewards right away, you know, from the renting apartment, because there is a mortgage and all the other expenses which I have to pay after tenant gives me his like rent, right? So actually I know, or I knew when I was younger and starting in this business, I knew it's not gonna bring like freedom or like the fruits right away, But later on, and when the later on, there's gonna be some freedom or some fruits, it's gonna be way more. And that's what I'm thinking. So instead of having one, I do have a 5, and I'm 24. So you can do your math if it makes sense or not really to have 5 mortgages when you are 24. There are different people, you know, especially in Europe. There are people who grew up in socialist regimes, which they don't believe in debt. They are scared of debt. They are thinking that government is taking control of you, which in the United States, it's normal to have a debt on everything. Even on the camera I'm recording, on the t-shirt, not on t-shirt, but I have friends in state, they have loans on the very expensive clothes, right? They paid in payments with the interest. So it's already like, you know, loan, you know, which is insane. So that's the first thing you have to understand. There are different approaches, and I always did make a decision. I would rather have 10 properties with the leverage. I don't have to have so much rewards from it right away, but later on there is gonna be way more rewards down the road, even for me, my family. Hopefully one day, you know, I can pass it to somebody, or I can own 2 or 3 properties paid in cash. I was like, kind of boring, right? I want to build something over there. So that's how I see it. That's why I do it like this. I'm not saying it's a correct way. You can always let me know in the comment section below. So that's the first thing with the real estate. You have to understand there are different approaches. Then the other thing is, actually, there is a lot of people thinking that I never want to live in somebody else's place and pay the rent. I need to own it. It has to be mine. I don't care if there's leverage or not, but it has to be mine. And there is something actually behind it, because you have to understand, not always it makes sense you buy property where you live, and not always it makes sense you buy property which one you want to rent. You have to understand it depends on so much things. Let's say if you are in California, you know, price of the houses are so expensive. If you rent it out, if you buy it and rent it out, your ROI, return on investment, is very low, because it's hard to get into this kind of deal since there are so expensive houses and the rents are actually not even comparable to where you should be with that amount of price of real estate. But that's just how it is, right? In Europe, what you pay for $100,000, let's say in Czech Republic, you get actually rent of $1,000 if you are very lucky. If you are very lucky, I would even tell it's way less, $600 or $700. In actually United States, right now I'm in Maine, if I have a duplex here, which I'm in northern Maine, you can buy a duplex for 100 grand, I can get like 1,300 from each unit, so almost $3,000. So it's totally different. You have to do the math behind it. Not always it makes sense that you buy the place where you want to live, because if it's short term, which is less than 10 years, it's a short term decision, sometimes it doesn't make sense. And there are different calculators you can go through, because with the mortgage, you are paying so much money on the mortgage. When they borrow you $200,000 and let's say there's 8 or 9 or 10% interest rate, man, you have to do your math. Me personally, I done a lot of deals, well, not a lot of deals, but just a couple deals in real estate. Me personally, I have done actually in real estate different like deals. For example, I have a deal that, you know, I want to get the rent and ROI has to be as much as possible, then that way I can make as much as possible. But then I done deal which is hard to get into, $300,000 or euros, so it's even more in dollars. But I was like, I really want to get this deal because it's in the capital city in Czech Republic. It's a Prague, #1 visited place in the actually Europe. So it's not a like random thing at all. It's more visited than Paris. So you can imagine how many people go there during the summer or winter days when it's super like nice out there on the main squares. So I was like, what if I'm gonna own the property in this place and I'm gonna hold it for 20 or 30 years? I think it's gonna be a very good decision, but right now it doesn't make financial sense because I had to put some money down. My rent over there, it's the same like in California, because price of the property in Prague, it's way more than price of the property anywhere else, right? So that's why actually you have to understand all these things as well. But I was like, no, this is not gonna be cash flow deal. This is not gonna be a deal that make financial sense, but it makes logical sense to me. And in the worst case scenario, I told myself I can retire and have some apartment in Prague. Why not, right? But I think I'm gonna make a heck lot of money on that apartment because price of the real estate in like Europe went crazy up, like in the United States, like everywhere, right? Let's assume like everywhere. But the thing is, capital city is always just one capital city. If it's number one visited, it's like number one visited, and I think it's gonna be a very popular city down the road because it still can be way more expensive. If the Paris is 3 times more expensive than the Prague, but the Prague is way more visited and way more investors are coming over there, why it cannot be more expensive than even Paris? So I see a huge kind of like potential over there, but of course it's not a financial advice. Maybe I'm wrong or not, we'll see. But I was like, I don't care if it goes bad, this deal, I can always throw out the money from my pocket every month and pay the rent or whatever I want to, just because, you know, I think it's a good deal to be in. And maybe later on I will be right or wrong, but that's the thing. Like Steve Jobs was saying, it's hard to connect the dots looking forward, but very easy looking backward 10 years ago, which means you don't know if you do the decision today that's right or not, but 10 years like from now you will look back and you just see, yeah, it was right or not. So I always have it in mind. So make sure, guys, you understand the leverage, because a lot of people are saying just always use the leverage, use the debt. It's not always the true. Of course, it depends where is the economy, where are the interest rates and so on, and what are your financial goals. If you want to own the house where you are going to be living, you know, for the rest of your life, and you don't want to do any other investments and you just want to buy something for you, probably doesn't matter at what kind of economy. If you can pay your mortgage with 8% interest, I bet you can pay it with 6% interest, which I assume interest rates will go down. And that's what I was saying from last year, like in December, and actually I was right. Slowly they are going down in Europe and United States, or at the same point or a little bit down. So have it in mind that leverage is something very important. It can amplify your results, like your returns, but it can actually make you way more poor when you use the leverage if you don't understand how to do it. If you do it in trading and you are not super smart, like no one is, right? So I always want to encourage you guys, do your research when it comes to investing with the leverage and so on. And I have some rules with the leverage. I never use it with the crypto or stocks and so on, and even though a lot of people are promoting that, just because that I'm just the normal guy, average guy, you know, who tried to make something better from the life that I got, and, you know, try to improve, and, you know, working in states, you know, recording in basements and so on, and knocking on the doors, trying to sell something in worth of thousands of dollars. So guys, just have it in mind, this is not financial advice. I'm like a random guy, literally, you know, recording the video from the basement, but I like it because it's a natural. And, you know, I work as a door-to-door salesman. Back home, I work in like actuarial science, very good field to be in. Overall, I mean, pays decently in Europe and way more in States, and it's a decent job, but, you know, I work a lot for everything that I accomplish in my life, and I just do believe that when I use the leverage with the real estate, it will bring me more freedom in future. We'll see. Right now it's hard to see the results because, like, I just started in real estate. Like, my first real estate deal was 2 years ago, and yeah, like last year, like last couple months even, I had 2 more properties, and I'm not sure if I want to add 1 more or 3 more. I have no idea. We'll see how the things goes, because it's a really hard field to be in with the real estate. It's like that, you know, it's so much work and return is not over there, at least in my scenario. Of course, it's way better to figure it out some business, but I haven't figured it out yet, so that's why I put money into real estate. With that being said, thanks for watching, and you can support me with a like or subscribe. See ya.